Thank you. Thank you so much, and very good morning to you all, and I hope that you are enjoying Sharm el-Sheikh as you are doing your great work in your constructive engagement in the sessions, sharing your opinion, prioritizing what should be prioritized. Well, this is an important session in the day that is emphasizing the role of agriculture and nature. It's very strong issue here that we need really to adopt a holistic approach in dealing with climate action. One of the mistakes of the past that we should be abandoning because it was misleading and created more harm than good, that those who have been leading climate action for many years assume that they can reduce sustainability only to one thing, which is basically dealing with emissions. As important as it is, but we cannot really ignore, after many years of failure in reducing emissions as we should, the required investments in resilience, including in nature. I'm happy that the president of COP27 3 days ago has announced the agenda for action, the Sharm el-Sheikh adaptation agenda, and you will be seeing in the 30 actionable areas of work and the 6 themes that nature interlinked strongly with climate had to be prioritized, had to be operationalized and projectized. So by that, I mean the following, that we need to have adequate data system to support the work, including actually embracing an important initiative that the Secretary General of the UN reiterated during his participation during COP about the importance of establishing an early warning system with the required data system to support it with huge investments required. I'm happy to listen yesterday to the US President, Mr. Biden, yesterday mentioning contribution to the establishment of early warning system at large, with specific contribution to Africa, which is in more need than other regions for attention and finance in this area of work. I'm very pleased as well to see that the non-state act is not just by governments or heads of organization that the work should be complemented, but it's basically the public-private partnership in this area by getting climate action within a holistic approach, getting that implemented adequately with support of data and finance, and capacity development to deliver at the last mile, as they say. So, in the area of data, I think the issues related to investments need to come as well from the potential beneficiaries. This morning, we were in a very important meeting with the leaders of the insurance sector, and they stand to be one among the many who will be benefiting more and more from better data systems for risk mitigation. There are other beneficiaries, including think tanks, researchers, but definitely the business sector can stand to support this work and will be working hard with the members of the Race to Zero and the members of the Race to Resilience in order to mobilize support, including from philanthropies. So this is one of the areas of work that I'll be working next year with the champion from the UAE in order to get that implemented. Then we have as well the science-based report establishing a carbon law for nature, that the land sector must reach net zero by 2030 in order to keep the 1.5 degrees alive. So the targets for climate will not ever be achieved without investments in nature and investments in biodiversity. So again, the area of biodiversity, which is going to be highlighted today and highlighted in the coming days in the thematic areas, are going to be more than a good segue to the discussion that will be all participating in one way or another in Canada in few weeks in the Biodiversity Summit. We are offering as high-level champion the following. We must integrate land use transformation as part of development transformation, through an integrated and a holistic approach, which is reflected in breakthroughs, including by 2030, we need to secure indigenous and local community rights to protect 45 million hectares, to restore 350 million hectares of degraded land, and sustainability to manage forests and other areas that need to be supported in order to integrate biodiversity priorities in our work. By 2025, financial institutions should eliminate commodity-driven deforestation from portfolios contributing to halting land conservation, with corresponding interim risk assessment and disclosure. To do this, we need to upscale action and mitigation and adaptation. And for that, I'd like to end by 3 concrete measures that we're adopting. One is related to the role of debt swaps, and building on the good work that we have seen in some particular projects, like in Seychelles and Belize, and more recently, and in a more comprehensive way in dealing with this matter in Barbados. It's not just project-based, it's KPI-linked. NDCs are there, you have the KPIs, you get the likes of TNC to reduce and mitigate risk, and get some top financiers from the MDBs, multilateral development banks, to do the work. This is a new generation for debt swaps and investment that we are encouraging countries to do, and I'm happy to see positive reaction from some middle-income countries in this region to do that. So in addition to the good work in Seychelles, Belize, and Barbados, we're going to be seeing more work in debt swaps. The other thing, which is linking the work in forests and biodiversity with good leadership by Minister Lee White, the Minister of Climate and Environment of Gabon, in this very room 4 days ago. We had it with all great appreciation, the participation of 4 heads of state from Africa to launch the carbon credit market for Africa, with principles linking the work on the carbon credit market with the work in forest biodiversity, and linking for the first time formally the work in adaptation and mitigation. It's being co-led by the head of the Financial Regulatory Authority of Egypt and the Director for Africa, my good colleague Begulu. The third way of doing that, again with emphasis on Africa and perhaps beyond that, because GFAN, the Global and the Glasgow Finance Net Zero Alliance, is taking matters related to net zero more seriously, with the pledges that we need really to be adhering to about new standards, complying with the standards, verification of standards, and disclosure of the work in this area. We're encouraging the work in GFANS Africa, and we're working closely as well with GFANS Asia until we have one for Latin America, but that is being covered so far by the global platform in order to operationalize the work related to climate and nature together to achieve net zero. So I'm happy as well that colleagues working with me closely and coordinating the support of the champions with the work of the GFANs, including my colleague here, Sagarika, who's in the room, to follow up on this work if you are interested in knowing what we are doing in this area. Having said that, thank you so much. Looking forward to the outcomes of this session, specifically if you want to share anything that we can share in our concluding remarks in the last day in this COP. Thank you so much for your participation.